that we are aware of the position of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. He kept saying that non-intervention, and he stressed on certain things yesterday that I hope that persons in the media like myself, you know, we would have listened to and made ourselves aware of. Right? Yesterday, as I said to you all earlier, I wasn't aware yesterday of the article. Totally unaware of the article. Totally unaware. So I really just sat and listened to what was being discussed or what the Prime Minister had a problem with. To those of you who may not be aware or wasn't aware like me, because some of us, you know, there are certain things I really don't, I can't even unless I buy our papers and Newsday. Who's yet Newsday? So I wasn't aware, totally unaware of what was written in the Newsday. But there was a part of the press conference that would have, I don't know how to put it now, boy. But I think I need to allow it to. I think I need to allow it to play so that you all would be aware. Be aware of it. Alright, Let me take some calls though. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Pastor Google.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to ask the people at Trinidad and Tobago. When the media and these people destroy the cross-border gas deal, what is the situation of the people in Trinidad and Tobago? What will the outcome of people at Trinidad and Tobago? We is a gas-based economy. We depend on gas to run our 10 petrochemical plants in Point Lisas, urea, methanol, ammonia, and these kind of things, right? This is what does pay the bills. This is what does send the children to school. This is what does support your social services, right? This is what helping around the hospital. What going to be the outcome of the people of Trinidad and Tobago? If our people don't like this country, you know, and like people in this country, like they don't understand, right? The people telling you, showing you a future 40 and 50 years down the road. You don't want to hear that. You want to hear propaganda, but propaganda and lies and dishonesty could never run a country. That is a fair state of creating. And when you miseducate the people, and you have a system of miseducated and misguided people, you have a failed state, and this is what the UNC is doing to our country, right? This is what the UNC is doing to our country. When you hamper the cross-border gas deal, what's going to be the outcome of Trinidad and Tobago citizens of this country? What's going to be the outcome? How the government will pay the 90,000 public servants? How the government will run the hospital, right? How? Tell me how. What? You don't have to go to school to understand that. Understand that, man. It's a truth being told, it's a lie being told. Which one you choose to believe? Either you choose a bright future, or you choose somebody tell you, we don't want the dragon gas, we don't want property tax, we don't want the revenue authority, that 15 billion, we don't want that, we scrap it online taxes, and we going and devalue the dollar. Where you going? And the people are that supporting that? So we dealing when you create a system and people like that, you're going to cry later on, you know. People can because you create a bunch of uneducated people, you know.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Pastor Google.
Hi, good afternoon.
As far as I'm concerned, they are enemies of the state. They are enemies of this country. And this person, journalist, has threatened the future of our country, our children, in my respective view. They have gone so far in time past with vessels being built. Yes, because I'm of the view they're working for the other side, try to hinder that progress, right? And I often wonder, you know, if a Jamaican, a Vinci, a Grenadian, a Guyanese would behave in this kind of in this manner. These people are not patriotic at all. They don't have the best interest. Apparently, they have some house and land in the sky or somewhere else that they want to destroy this country. You understand me? And there must be some way to reprimand journalists and then for when they behave in this manner, right? Putting all that kind of information, not having the facts, all the facts, because context and structure is important. And something has to be done. This cannot be a joking matter. People taking this thing for a joke, right? We know how much gas and oil we have remain, right, for this country. And people threatening us like this. They're not different than a young boy running up and down the place with a gun in his hand, you know, and threatening people's lives, you know. They are threatening the livelihood of people, right? And this has to stop. Politics must be as it was before. We have an election, the election finished, we go on with our lives as Trinidad and Tobagonians. When election come around again, we start to campaign again. It cannot be every year, day in, day out. These people trying to undermine because they're not in power. It cannot be. It just cannot be. This has to stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Pastor Gold. UNC only strategy is demonizing the PNM. And no matter what they do for this country, make it look like they do nothing. Though all they blaming the journalists, do you think the journalists just come up with that just so? Why all the look, Dr. Mundilal have a case going on right now. All the things being reported in the media. The media is for the UNC. All they blaming the journalists. It's not the journalists. They're just doing what they have to do. You understand? They just Mrs. Bissessa come out with these paper checks. All they listen, man, all they understand what's going on. They want them not in control of this country. The country could burn down. This simple little article, Pastor Google, I was watching for the press conference yesterday. This thing so serious. This could cause this country to be bombed. So we could end up in a war with Venezuela for no reason because of a simple article. And these people who understand bright, who went to IWER and whoever is journalists, they're making some of the most dotish mistakes for political party, boy. All they really want to see the country get destroyed for politics, for somebody else to come and run the country because all they like what the PNM doing. Pastor Google, let them tell me who government minister, who is in corruption, who the police have on file, who they want to lock up. Tell me what's going on in the PNM right now that all is so hate, like what happened in 2010 to 2015. Tell me, they can't tell you. All they could do is propaganda about Hines, about this one, about that one, and trivial issues. Lying and saying the minister, our finance minister stole money. The line, even the own UNC people, when it was the local election, when they was in a fracas come up against Mrs. Bissessa, and say he never hear about the inheritance tax. They want to make up that. When name Ramble, wherever his name was. But he come back here, I say never hear about the inheritance. The first time he hear about that is also because somehow. The line on the PNM and people in this country don't understand that if them take power, they will not do anything different to what they did from 2010 to 2015 because Kamala have never repented. You listen to the guy different. He know Pastor Google. He know that what she want to do is to repeat 2010 to 2015. As she went the government, she will get rid of all, just like what she did with the COP. She will get rid of all and continue to run the government under UNC. He know that. And he say, when I leave and see us happen, Pastor Google, people in this country wicked, they're evil. To cause this against this country, to want this against this country. I was working taxi, and African people who was putting up the sign, do so, we are going to PNM in Mova. When the son gets fired and the daughter gets a tall man, I said, don't tell me nothing, don't tell me anything. All they wanted I do so, remember, do so, I said, Shirley said, you do so. One vote for them, and they went and voted for them, and when they started getting jamming, and everybody who looked like them African was fired. Everybody African was fired. You all they forget, all they remember, tell all the children that don't make the same mistake. They was fired, they was dismissed. There was no do so, and we will rise. If we will rise was only for people from behind the bridge, from Cardi go back. It was never for it was Korean people. We will rise. How much African? We turn millionaires, Pastor Google. You tell me under UNC, we will rise. Before I start to use bad language on this phone, tell me we will rise. Only people, my Pastor Google is wicked. They follow war law to get off and thief. You understand? Section 34. And people, African people forgetting this. These things that happen. No correction, name one minister now in PNM for 10 years who name have been called in some kind of corruption. Not one they could call, but they hear the call. People, give me a break, boy. I go on.
Hello, good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, Pastor Google.
Right, good afternoon.
Pastor Google, actually, we have any interruption because we had a power outage in my area here and the current has restored.
Which part is it?
I think the valley.
Oh, okay.
So it's back up and running. Pastor Google, I want to ask two questions. One is that the editor of the newspaper or the thing, did they edit that proper? Because they would have known about the stance of CARICOM is a no war zone. They make that absolutely clear. It's not just that Dr. Rowley and Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Rowley as one body with the Caribbean leaders agree to have a stance on a war-free zone, right?
You know what is amazing about this is that you know that the same or the US came here, I think it was in 2013 when Ms. Cesar was in office, and they would have signed the same something similar.
It started in 2007, 2006, somewhere down there.
Yeah, but they would have signed something very similar to what they came and did the other day.
Yeah.
And Ms. Cesar didn't know that. They wouldn't come out also and say, hey, media, you all are really treading on dangerous grounds. What you all are putting out there, it is not right. Whatever. Because there is even on the UNC website, there's a whole article about when Vice President Biden had come here and all of that. I could play a whole video with it. But just because of power and ignorance, some of the UNC people will not stand up and say, hey, you see what you all did there, media? Come on, this is not the first time something like this has happened. in the sense of the Americans come over here to try and help us with our security systems and all of that, and we have taken a position of X, Y, and Z.
Because she cancelled the OPVs. Do you know that the OPVs and then the other arrangement with the British and the Americans, that if once we could have those long range and things there, we would have been able to ease up them from patrolling our shores. But Pastor Gogo, more than that, just piggybacking on what you just said there, based on your research, that what happened. You know, well, Kamala Persad-Bissessar was a former prime minister and head of a national security council. So why is that Kamala Persad-Bissessar making that? But more so, I am just broadening my mind. I do not know. I'm making that clear, right? That yeah, I found it strange that when this thing happened, the media thinking and pretend, then Kamala with the PEP and the OWTU as bobbleheads in the back, and when she made that statement, and she didn't, because she was thinking based on what the newspaper article says, right? So I was wondering if that was it, because I have to ask myself, if you are editor, you have to be careful about your media and your thing there, so you must know a lot of things, because basically the CARICOM has issued this statement that CARICOM, because it's a one body thing that we are our free zone, right? So why would the editor approve that story and put it out? I don't blame the journalists, you know, because at the end of the day, the journalists making the commissions on the story, it makes headline, it thing it up. But what's the response? What is the job of an editor? And you think, because I have to ask Mark this, because I'm a citizen, I don't have all the facts. I am illiterate when coming to newspaper things and weapon things. So I would like Mark to explain to the public, to the illiterate people on media and journalism, like me, so I can understand better about the media, because we have to be very careful of how you ask questions of the media, because they will say freedom of thing for journalists and thing, although we still get a high ranking in it. But I'm asking the question, is it the journalists and them and the editors and them is taking it too far? Because at the end of the day, it just did not have complications for Trinidad and Tobago. No. This became an issue for CARICOM, and it was detrimental with the arrangement. And not just that, we have a nice a peaceful harmony with Venezuela, because I could tell you, Pastor Gigo, I remember Venezuela and Guardian Nationals and them, and them used to rock up our fishermen and them. And we had literally to help to get everything, you know, we just had to go through the diplomatic way, and it used to take weeks into months to get things settled and to bring our fishermen back. Do we want to go back to that? Because I sure our fishermen and them will be fishing in Venezuelan waters, but Guardian National, now today, you really don't take that in a blind eye, but which is by law, we're not supposed to be doing that. So I'm just asking that if that is a strategy of the Cambridge Analytica from Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and then she now have Pep with this guy with Pep with a broad smile on his face, and Ansel Roger like with bubbling in head, and yes, we hear something to copy PNM. I want to tell these people this: what Kamala Persad-Bissessar have done and what she said, because she is the official opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago that holds a high office. It was detrimental to us, and if they support that, I don't want to hear see nothing from them. Thank you very much, Pastor Gogo.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, Pastor Gogo. That article didn't write just so, you know. That was written to create conflict, miseducate, mislead the people of this Trinidad and Tobago and create conflict with Venezuela. And that man didn't pen that just so. The paper is anti-PNM. They tell us, well, when we do these things, we hurt in PNM, but we hurt in Trinidad and Tobago. As I say, miseducate and mislead your public, and we'll be a crying nation because we create a failed state. We choose to not create a nation of a prosperous and thinking people.
All right, thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Pastor Google. Good afternoon to the callers, listeners, 919 on this Friday afternoon constructive talk. Pastor Google, Let me tell you something, right? The 2010 to 2015 era, right? If people didn't learn then, right? And we go back and put back the same set of kleptomaniacs who were there back then, well, trouble take we, because you remember what the opposition leader and her cronies are trying to do is to infiltrate the minds of the, those who were like 10 years, 9 years back then. They will be like 24, 25 years now. You understand? So she's trying to appease to those upcoming who were young at that time to give them the perception that, hey, this is a new era of governance in Trinidad and Tobago, right? But those who was there and who experienced that turmoil in that period, right? And we see the rippling effects after 15 years up to this day, the country hasn't cashed back itself from then. And all they want to put back these people there to run their affairs again, to send this country to the IMF. God forbid that they end up there. We in this country have to know what we want in this country, and we can't wait too long, because too late, it shall be the cry. And God forbid, if them become, you see them, the same Philip who cursed out the opposition leader, and said we want nothing good to say about that, and all of them, they have one agenda. They are in the treasury and the money that is coming into the country, right? And as to the media houses in this country, they're not getting the brown bag and the Christmas goodies that would have got on that Kamla. They're not getting those goodies. So they want to malign the government any means possible. If it's a sanction or to cancel the gas deal with Venezuela, right? Even the same opposition had much to say about Maduro as well.
All right.
But then again, we have to know what we want in this country. Locked on and listening.
All right. Thank you very much. Hi, Trinidad and Tobago. So what I want to do now, I wanted to play you some other videos, but I'm going to play you those other videos just now. Alright, I'm going to play you those other videos just now. So, the weekend is here. Alright, the weekend is here, and again, as I said to you guys, please be careful out there. Alright. Hello, good afternoon.
And to you.
All right, so Trinidad and Tobago, I have on the phone line with me the Minister of National Security, the Minister, the Honorable Fitzgerald Hines. Mr. Hines, again, it's a pleasure to have you on the street.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Pastor Google. It's a pleasure to be in your company as well. I assess you as a clean, serious, focused, well-meaning human person and journalist, and therefore it is a pleasure to be in your August company, even though this is the month of December.
All right. Mr. Hines, we saw that there was a visit from the U.S. This week. We would have heard the Prime Minister on yesterday talking about the visit by the U.S. Persons from the U.S. You want to give us an idea of what transpired where this visit is concerned?
What would have happened is a reflection of what you would have seen a couple days ago when, in the presence of the Prime Minister, Admiral Alvin Halsey, who heads the U.S. Southern Command, which is one of the 6 geographical segments of the world. You have Northern Command, you have Indo-Pacific Command, you have African Command. The U.S. military takes its place in different geographical areas. The Southern Command covers Latin America and the Caribbean, of which we are part. So the leader of the Southern Command, Admiral Halsey, he would have come to Port of Spain on his first official visit since he assumed that leadership. And he would have signed on behalf of the U.S. Southern Command, and I would have signed on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago this human rights initiative, which is essentially a mill-to-mill arrangement between the U.S. Southern Command and the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. I might tell you, you will recall that we have always said we get a lot of aid and support. In fact, the Prime Minister went as far as to say there is no way we could protect ourselves in this region without the help of the United States and other international operators, the UK, France, Canada, because these are developed countries with more resources than we have, and sometimes better technologies and better training and tactical skills. So we depend on them for all of our existence for some assistance in that regard. And we provide to them what little we can in the sharing, because most crimes, as you know, are international in origin, transnational criminal activity. Drug dealing, the drug comes from down South America. The guns largely from the very United States and other places. Synthetic drugs, Canada. So the law enforcement agencies of those countries work against those things, and they collaborate with other law enforcement and defense agencies in our part of the world. So he came to sign. So what the public saw there was simply the signing, but that would have followed months of interface at a technical level. Technical people from Trinidad and Tobago, Foreign Affairs, our International Affairs Unit in National Security, the Defense Force, their personnel similar ilk from the US, in a negotiation for that human rights initiative document which you saw being signed, and a number of others, including the status of forces agreement and that sort of thing, an agreement which has been in place for decades in this country, as the Prime Minister say, even under Kamla Prasad's predecessor as Prime Minister at the time between 2010 and 2015. So what the public would have seen this week is merely the signing of the document, but that would have followed months of exchanges and discussions and agreement and disagreement and so on until the final signing. But once the public saw the signing, all hell break loose, behaving as though in some cases, like if it was brand new, never ever done before. But as the Prime Minister explained, these agreements have been in place for a long time, and what came up now is renewal. So we have been renewing them to continue the working partnership with these agencies. So I hope that this explanation gives a better handle on what we would have seen there. And I don't think, because Trinidad has such an appetite for bacchanal and scandal, I am not sure whether these kinds of agreements generate even an article in the newspapers in other countries. And if it does, I sure don't have the level of bacchanal that surrounds this. The leader of the opposition jumped in, and as the Prime Minister had to tell her, you know, excitable and opportunist and populist as she is, that these are agreements that you ought to be familiar with, because you would have overseen the refreshment of all of them during your time. Unless, of course, if just like our 10% ownership in Atlantic LNG, she as Prime Minister did not even know we own 10% in Atlantic LNG for gas. So we had to teach her that when we were in government. The lady was talking about it and we discovered in the parliament she didn't know about it. So there's a lot that she doesn't know, and she misleads people with her ignorance. But we didn't come here today to speak about her and her ignorance. You've asked the question, and I, as thoroughly as I could, have tried to answer it.
Okay, and so, Mr. Hines, just before you go also, there is the perception out there that, you know, we would have, if someone wants to get the let's say the documents that would have been signed off on, is there any way like someone could get it to read it through and be able to share with the population, or like my listeners?
I suspect so. These documents are eventually laid in the Parliament, or there are records in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There are records, so I mean I see reasoning principle. They are public documents. They are
Right.
not new to Trinidad and Tobago. And I see no real impediment in that, really speaking.
Okay, all right. So again, Mr. I want to thank you for chiming in on this discussion, because there is a lot of misinformation out there. There are persons who keep saying that the Prime Minister did not answer the question about if the
Which question?
They were saying that the Prime Minister didn't answer if the Americans can just come here and set up base.
No, I think the Prime Minister answered it. Maybe because I know so much about him and about it. I think he answered it because he was by implication saying, so you mean to tell me? I mean, look, the U.S. don't just put we had a U.S. base here in Chagaramas, and we had them, the British, when we were a colonial outpost, gave Chagaramas over to the United States government in the context of the World War II. And we, Dr. Williams, led the charge to get it back, and we got it back. It is not that they could just at their whim and fancy. The agreement actually says that they have to seek the permission of the host state in order to do that. We have to give them permission.
Right, that is what
they can make a request.
Yes.
We have to give them permission and agree that they do it.
Right.
And by the way, while people think that that might be a very, very bad thing, look at Guyana. You don't know, I mean, suppose now some foreign power walk into Trinidad and Tobago, one that is more mighty than Trinidad and Tobago, and start to take over things here. We will be glad to have a friend to support us. And that's what international affairs and international relations are. Look at Haiti today. Haiti is crying out for international assistance because the police in Haiti can't handle the gangs. I don't know if they can't handle the gangs, and therefore it takes police from Kenya to come inside of Haiti to assist in maintaining stability, social and political stability in Haiti. So these things are not inherently bad, but the bottom line is, the way the thing is structured, permission will have to be sought, and the government of any of the participating states, as which we hear Guyana is one, Jamaica is one, because we are all in the same position, cooperating internationally and with international friends and partners to protect us from the worst excesses of transnational crime. I heard about that. I see this morning, they found a body on the Lady Young Road in the constituency of, I suspect, Lamantil East Mova, based on where I gather they found it. Tied hands and feet, a young man. I don't know him. I don't know anything about him personally. Hands tied, feet tied, hog tied, and bullets in his head. Is gun doing that? And these guns are not manufactured in Trinidad and Tobago. We have U.S. personnel working in Trinidad and Tobago with our law enforcement personnel, trying to see how we could breach and stem that, tracing back the history of these guns. Who purchased them? Who manufactured them? Who purchased them, who distribute them, and to where in the United States, and how and when they end up in Trinidad and Tobago. You would have seen in recent months 2 Trinidadians and Tobagonians arrested and charged in the United States for sending illegal guns into Trinidad and Tobago. So this international cooperation, international training and preparation is critical, and they want to be sure that we as a government are not abusive of human rights. So we sign a human rights initiative, which essentially says the United States will observe all the tenets and the principles of international law and human rights, and Trinidad and Tobago too. And if Trinidad and Tobago was not doing that, we can't expect their friendship and their help and support. And therefore, you will recall, 2 men were beaten to death in police custody in this country. Balcon and Morris. The facts already show that. And when that happened, the United States called out the government of Trinidad and Tobago and said, look here, this is pure case of extrajudicial activity, and we are not standing for it, and we intend to defund, we intend to stop supporting that agency that was the agency that was mentioned in that affair. And therefore, we had to shut down that agency to protect the rest of law enforcement and the defense force in Trinidad and Tobago from the recuperations and the reverberations of that. We had to shut down the SORT because they were about to defund the whole police service and the defense force and everything that they were helping to train and to share information within Trinidad and Tobago, because as far as they told us, they considered that an abuse of human rights. And therefore, that which you saw Admiral Halsey and I sign, it was critical in reaffirming Trinidad and Tobago's adherence to the rule of law, the observation of the principles of human rights, and therefore once we agreed on that, then we continue to work together. That's all you saw there, you know. But these bacchanalists in Trinidad and Tobago is only rah, 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 and scandal, especially the opposition leader who signed on to those before. And when they were alive and well and in vogue, let me use a young people term, while she was sitting comfortably there in Whitehall, overseeing the most corrupt and thieving government that this country has ever seen. And training is important to me because some of the white-collar crime that take place in this country, there are occasions when our own law enforcement, because that too has international ties, money gone abroad, money hidden here, money laundered there, so we need international friends to do it. And therefore, for me as Minister of National Security, those training opportunities are important because it puts our law enforcement and defense personnel in a better position to capture scams and crooks and criminals when they offend us in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Hines. I really appreciate you taking my call, and we're going to continue this discussion. All right.
Anytime. And as I told you, I am not media shy. It's just that some people who call from radio stations and some people you see, they're just, you know, they're not serious. They're into bacchanal, perpetration themselves. And as a minister of government and as a serious human person, I think I owe Trinidad and Tobago more than that. So in many cases, I ignore them. And I'm quite prepared to take the call of serious people and well-meaning people like your good self.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hines.
God bless you.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, Tobago, so you just heard from the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Minister Fitzgerald Hines. I want to play something for you that Mr. Hines keep referring to. And those of you who don't know, now you know. Take a listen to this.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have with us now at the end of this momentous day in Trinidad and Tobago, and indeed in the region of the Caribbean community, from the furthest right, the Honorable Joseph R. Biden Jr., the Vice President of the United States. Next to him, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, who's been the host of today's proceedings, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessor, and His Excellency Michel Joseph Martelly, the President of the Republic of Haiti and the Chairman of Conference of the Caribbean community. You would get brief remarks from each of these leaders, following which there will be a signing of a trade and investment framework agreement between the United States and the Caribbean community. And that will be the end of the proceedings officially for today's activities. First up, the Honorable Joseph R. Biden Jr., the Vice President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. President, Madam Prime Minister, distinguished leaders of Caribbean countries, I want to thank you all, and I mean all of you, for what for me was a very fruitful and good meeting. I learned a great deal, and I've also learned we have a lot more work to do together. And I want to thank all the leaders who traveled here. Madam Prime Minister, you hosted this. We contacted you on relatively short notice, all of you, to see if you'd be willing. President Obama asked me if I had an opportunity, whether I'd have a chance to meet with each of you. And I thank you for your hospitality and doing it on such short notice.
Trinidad and Tobago has been very blessed, very privileged, and very honored, Vice President, to welcome you to Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to note, even though President Obama was here in 2009, that meeting was not specifically to address issues of Trinidad and Tobago or of the CARICOM. This meeting, I think your visit marks that of a high official of your stature in several decades. I think Mrs. Smith will remind me, several decades that we've had the honor and the privilege as Trinidad and Tobago and as a CARICOM to have a Vice President visit Trinidad and Tobago.
You know, my time is gone. What I'll do, I know this discussion will continue all through the weekend, On Monday, I'll play you this video in its entirety, and then I'll play you the video with the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago talking about their position, non-intervention. I'm out of here, Trinidad and Tobago.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of The Street 919 FM.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on The Street 919 FM.
Attention business owners. Are you looking to reach a vast audience and boost your brand's visibility? Then look no further. The Street 919 FM is here to help you shine. With over 170,000 followers on our social media platforms, our radio station is the perfect platform to showcase your products and services. Join us and let your message be heard